Hi, I'm Katie from What Katie Did, and today I'm in the beautiful seaside town of Polperro in Cornwall, and I'm going to talk to you about how to look after your stockings while you're on vacation. And it's a perfect subject as I'm away this week, and I'll be able to show you exactly what I do. Now, last week I spoke to you about how to look after your lingerie at home, and I reminded you of my top tip for hosiery, which is to store your stockings in jam jars or jelly jars. And that really isn't practical for when you're travelling. So now today I'm going to show you how I look after my nylons when I'm travelling. Now, in the 40s and 50s, women had some tricks up their sleeves for this, and they used to have stocking pouches. And I've got one here. This I picked up at Brooklands Museum. They do a 40s weekender, which is great, in the UK. And this is handmade, and women would make these to store their stockings either when they're travelling or at home. And this is a really cute handmade stocking wallet, which will fit 1 or 2 pairs of nylons in here quite easily. And the problem with these stocking wallets is that they're all handmade, and the amount of work that goes into these beautiful items is extraordinary. So you can find vintage ones really cheaply, and if you do find them, snap them up. But if you want to get a new one, the amount of work that goes into them does make them very expensive. So this one is probably for stockings. It might have even been used for handkerchiefs, but you know, if you look at it and you'll think, well, it's not big enough to put your pyjamas in, that's why, because it's actually for nylons or possibly handkerchiefs. So this is my prettiest one, definitely. Moving on, I have a more practical one. Now, this one I picked up at an estate show in Burbank in Los Angeles, and this one's very clever. Again, I think one's handmade. There's no labels inside, but inside we have 4 sections, so you can have a pair of stockings or even 2 pairs of stockings in each one. And you have to remember that back in the 50s, women didn't have a pair of stockings for every day of the week. In the very early 50s, an American woman would buy, on average, a pair of 6 pairs of stockings a year, and that would last them the year. So if you are travelling with stockings, don't worry about thinking, oh, I can only fit a couple pairs of nylons in my wallet, or I can only fit 4 pairs in here, because they do dry very quickly overnight. So I normally travel with 2 or 3 pairs, and I just dry them overnight and wear them the next day, and it works out fine. So if you're not lucky enough to find a vintage stocking bag, then we have made a reproduction one. This is our stocking bag, and it's actually a recreation of one I found dating back to the 1940s at the War and Peace show in Kent, probably about 10-12 years ago now. And it's just a simple fold over envelope, and it's got the sheer panels here so you can see what's inside, and you can fit 4, possibly 5 pairs of nylons in there. A lot of work does go into making it. It doesn't look like it, but there is a lot of work, and it's a bit fiddly to do. So they do work out a bit more expensive than what I'd like. So if you don't want to invest in one of our wallets and you can't find a vintage one, you might have something at home that would do the trick. Now, the team at work bought me this beautiful bag for my birthday a couple of years ago. It's a vintage bag, and it's all smooth inside, and I quite often take this when I'm travelling. And again, I can fit 3 or 4 pairs of nylons in here. What you do need to check for, though, is to make sure there's no rough edges. Like there's a metal clasp here, but it has totally smooth, so you don't have to worry about snagging your nylons. So I'm going to show you this now, this little organza gift bag, and you'd think that this would be perfect for storing your nylons when you're away, because they're easy to find. But especially with fully fashioned nylons, which are very, very delicate, you'll find the edges inside are really quite sharp. They don't feel sharp, but I have actually snagged fully fashioned nylons on a bag like this before. So please make sure the bag you use is a soft satin or silk, something soft and silky that has no sharp edges at all. And finally, when I do go travelling, I always carry a bag like this. This is an old satin corset bag, but this is to put all my dirty nylons in. If I don't want to wash them at the end of every day, you need somewhere safe to keep them in your suitcase, otherwise they will get damaged. So basically I just put all my dirty lingerie and dirty nylons in a bag like this, and this keeps them safe until I get home and can wash them with more care. So that's my tips for looking after your nylons while travelling, and I'll catch up with you next week. Take care. Bye.